This is just really funny to me, and I'd like to get your professional sort of opinion on some of these things as well. There are a bunch of luxe amenities that
I liked that one. Yes, let's talk.
Now New York City renters can live without, and I'm sure also for people who are purchasing homes as well. Yeah. Turns out a recent survey of 1,000 renters from Pinata, a rental rewards membership program.
Oh, I love their benefits.
Only 1,000. That's the best you could do, Pinata. Looks like renters are now indifferent to pools and gyms. Yeah, I don't know. Another one, a doorman is beloved by some and considered a necessary evil by others. A lot of people don't enjoy feeling judged by their doorman. One girl said if she comes back with ice cream, she doesn't like the look she gets. If someone gets too many packages delivered, she doesn't like when they complain about it. If they take their dog on short walks, they don't like to feel shame from their doorman.
I got one better than that. My former roommate was a female, and I was gone for a spell, almost a week, I think. And my doormen, unsolicited, were telling me how different dude every night.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Those deals.
Yeah.
I wasn't psyched about.
Well,
I wanted to live her life. But
then the question becomes when your building is staffed with people tipping during the holiday season. One woman said it bankrupts her.
Fucking hate it.
A lot of people don't like a gym or fitness center in their gym because they thrive on the social aspect of going to a workout class or a gym outside the building. The one in the building is a last resort, and sometimes people don't like it. One renter said, I don't need it rubbed in my face how easy it would be to exercise.
I like that.
Now, this one surprised me sort of just because I want it. What people think they want but rarely use is a balcony. Many are too small and cramped to be practical. Sometimes the wind and weather don't cooperate, or street noise is a problem. One Manhattan mother who has a yard said, I thought outdoor space would be useful with a kid, but it stressed me out listening to rats rummaging around at night. That is so great. And then there's a bunch of outlandish amenities that some newer luxury buildings are offering, like golf simulators, yoga rooms, recording studios.
What?
Yeah. So, okay. Obviously, you are the expert here. Let me know your thoughts.
It's hard to call me an expert, but I will talk. I would say that and I'm based on just my taking buyers and renters out, there are certain amenities that most people do like. I think you want to take everything in that article slightly with a grain of salt to the point where, especially like Doorman, a lot of people, when given the opportunity, are going to want a doorman. I understand what they say. There are certain people who think they're too up in their business, but ultimately it is a very nice convenience when in the city and you're getting deliveries, you're getting food deliveries, you're getting Amazon, you're getting all these different things. Having a doorman there with just the additional security is something that the majority of people do.
But I wonder if there is a silent majority that disagrees, just for the fact that in that fucking maintenance fee that is mind-melting in New York these days, part of that is the payment of the doorman.
Sure.
And it would significantly go down where they're not doorman.
It depends on the building. It depends on the building. I understand what you're saying, but and yes, believe me, please. In a city where there's, in Manhattan, where there's like 1.9 million people living in Manhattan, something to that effect, there's tons of people, like hundreds of thousands of people who don't want a doorman, but I'm just talking in general.
Right.
People do like it. I'd say the one thing that if given an opportunity, 90% of people would want and do love, and I think is worth the money for developers to start doing it, is a washer and dryer in the unit. You'd be surprised at how many people that changes their life. And then once they have it, it's really hard to go back.
Yes.
Well, what I was surprised by is that some people said they did not like. For everyone who likes, there's someone who doesn't. The ones who don't like the washer dryer in unit were the people who said they prefer it in the building, like in the basement or on a collective floor, so that they could do 5 loads at once and they're not constantly running their washer and dryer.
So when I first moved to the city in my early 20s and had disposable income, which doesn't exist anymore, when you have 3 kids and have a house and all that, I would send it out. I don't know if I
Yeah.
ever did my own laundry. And the fact that you could send it out, and by the way, it is so much more expensive to do that these days than it was in the early 2000s.
Yes.
But the amount of the difference between sending it out and getting it folded and doing it myself was literally a few dollars, and it was completely worth it back then. But look, if you have little kids, infants, and having a unit in your house or in your apartment, excuse me, is huge. The amount of laundry you do. But yeah, there are certain people who would rather save the space and have the space for a closet rather than a washer dryer. Those people exist. More than anything, though, people like having it in the unit.
Yeah.
Well, just in the building.
But also, so you went on to say things like golf simulators, yoga rooms, recording studios. Those things do exist in some buildings, not many. But what's interesting is that they typically, and they mentioned this in the article, you'll find them a lot in neighborhoods that aren't as desirable because they're trying to bring people into that neighborhood. And a lot of those amenities no one ever uses.
Yeah.
But when they're touring and they say, oh, this has this, this, and this, you think to yourself, I'm going to use that all the time. They're collecting dust, quite frankly. And to that matter, if you have these huge buildings with these huge roof decks, which many people like, and they're a great selling point, I'd say 75, if not 80 to 85% of the people don't ever use them.
Such a shame.
What are some odd deal breakers that we wouldn't consider that you run into a lot? Where there's person's like, well, it's because of this and this. I can't take this otherwise perfect property.
People don't. Oh, one thing mentioned in the articles, wall-to-wall carpeting. People hate wall-to-wall carpeting. If it's not something they put in themselves, it grosses people out.
I can see that.
If a lot of times people have wall-to-wall carpeting because they didn't put in normal floors. And it's an inexpensive way to cover a floor. But ultimately, tenants and buyers hate wall-to-wall carpeting unless it's something they put in themselves. Window units, there's certain people who hate window AC units and always want to know if central AC is a possibility or if, putting it through the wall below the window is a possibility.
I didn't even know that was an option.
Walk-ups, a lot of people will not do a walk-up. They need an elevator. But those are pretty standard these days.
I was lucky enough 2 weeks ago to finally go to one of his very nice properties.
Ooh.
And you reminded me of it when you said walk-up because this thing was, what was it? It was technically 3 floors. But the second floor was like a storage area, but you could sleep there.
The apartment's on the 5th floor. It's a 5-floor walk-up.
Yes, that's what made me think of it. Yeah.
And then it's a triplex. But it's a triplex, meaning there's 3 floors of the apartment, but the second floor is basically a lofted space for storage. It's only about 4 feet high, where you can just put a lot of stuff. So really, it's a duplex with just very high ceilings.
It reminds me of a lot of some of the older edifices in Manhattan. Some of them are still bars, but back in the day they were. And they were also whorehouses. And they gave so little thought to the women that they were employing that the actual whore part of the bar was that big. Like, you couldn't stand in the area where the beds were. And
I think that's what they named it, the whore part of the bar.
Yeah. Also,
now, you're going to want to do that up at the whore part of the bar. Not there. But
Bill, it just concerns me that you said, well, it is an area someone could sleep in, and your brother says it's really just for storage. It's 4 feet tall.
You could sleep there.
I will say, though, look, there are plenty of people who would put a mattress in there, and if their teenage kid came to visit them, put them in there. If a guest came, it wouldn't be outlandish to have a mattress there and like a little side table, because you could easily sit up in a mattress in the middle of the night and look at your phone or whatever. You're not going to be standing up and walking, but you could crouch. I would never advertise it as a bedroom.
Yeah, especially I'm sure for the price that it's going for.
It's a 2-bedroom, 1.5 bath with private outdoor rooftop and a balcony.
It was amazing.
And we're asking 1.249.
Wow.
Right next to Central Park. It was
Wow.
great.
Upper West Side.
I didn't want to leave. It was so great.
Feel free to reach out to me if you're interested.
Yes, and then be friends with me so I
Yeah.
can come and visit.
Feel free to reach out to me if you have money for me.
Right.
It's only newly married people.